Jeremiah chapter 19, shattering a clay jar. Thus said Adonai, go buy a potter's clay jar, take some elders of the people, some of the elders of the Kohanim, and go out to the valley of Ben Hinnom near the entrance of the potsherd gate. Proclaim there the words that I will tell you, and say, hear the word of Adonai, king of Judah, inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, I am about to bring such a catastrophe on this place that whoever hears it, his ears will tingle, for they have forsaken me and have alienated this place by burning sacrifices in it to other gods, which neither they nor their forefathers nor the kings of Judah have known. They have also filled this place with the blood of innocents. They have built high places for Baal in order to burn their children in the fire as burnt offerings to Baal, something I never commanded nor mentioned, nor did it ever come to my mind. Therefore, behold, the days are coming, it is a declaration of Adonai, when this place will no longer be called Topheth or the valley of Ben Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. So I will make void the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem in this place. I will have them fall by the sword before their enemies, by the hand of them that seek their life. I will give their carcasses as food for the birds in the sky and the beasts of the earth, and I will make this city a horror and a hissing. Everyone passing by will be stunned and hiss because of all her wounds. And I will make them eat the flesh of their sons with their daughters, and everyone will eat his companion's flesh. During the siege and distress which their enemies and those who seek their life will inflict on them. Then you will shatter the jar in the presence of the people who accompany you, and say to them, thus says Adonai Zavat, even so I will shatter this people in this city, as one shatters a potter's jar, which can never be made whole again, so they will be buried in Topheth, where there will be no other place to bury. Thus I will do to this place, it is a declaration of Adonai, and to its inhabitants, making this city as Topheth, the house of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Judah will be defiled as the place of Topheth, as the houses on those roofs that burned incense to the whole heavenly host and poured out drink offerings to other gods. Then Jeremiah came from Topheth, where Adonai had sent him to prophesy, and stood in the court of Adonai's house, and said to all the people, thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, I am about to bring on this city and all her towns and the whole disaster that I pronounced against it, because they stiffened their neck, rather than hearing my words. Chapter 20. Jeremiah 20, confronting a false prophet. When Pashur, son of Immer the Kohen, who was the chief officer in the house of Adonai, heard Jeremiah prophesying these things, Pashur had Jeremiah the prophet beaten and put into the stocks at the upper Benjamin gate by the house of Adonai. Then following morning, Pashur released Jeremiah from the stocks. Then Jeremiah said to him, Adonai no longer calls your name Pashur, but Megiddo Misabib. For thus says Adonai, behold, I will make you a terror both to yourself and to everyone you love. They will fall by the swords of their enemies while your eyes look on. So I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he will carry them captive to Babylon, and will slay them with the sword. Moreover, I will give all the wealth of this city, all its produce and its precious things, even all the treasures of the kings of Judah, I will give over to the hand of their enemies, who will plunder them, take them away, and bring them to Babylon. As for you, Pashur, and all who live in your house, you will go into captivity, and you will go to Babylon. So there you will die, and there you will be buried, you and all your friends, to whom you have prophesied falsely, fire burning in my bones. Adonai, you enticed me, so I was enticed. You overpowered me and prevailed. I am a laughing stock all day long. Everyone mocks me. For whenever I speak, I cry out. I proclaim violence and ruin, for the word of Adonai is scorn and ridicule to me all day long. But if I say I won't mention him or speak any more in his name, then it is like fire burning in my heart, shut up in my bones. I weary myself holding it in, but I cannot. For I heard the whispering of many, terror on every side. Denounce him, let's denounce him. Even all my close friends are watching for my fall. Perhaps he may be deceived, so we'll get the better of him, and we'll get our revenge on him. But Adonai is with me like a dreadful warrior. Therefore my persecutors will stumble and will not prevail, since they are not insightful and not wise. They will be utterly shamed, an everlasting disgrace never to be forgotten. Yet Adonai Zavat, testing the righteous, seeing the mind and the heart, let me see your vengeance on them. For to you I have presented my case. Sing to Adonai, praise Adonai, for he has delivered the soul of the needy one from the hand of the evildoers. Cursed be the day I was born, the day that my mother bore me. May it never be blessed. Cursed be the one who brought the news of my father, saying a baby boy is born to you, making him so glad. Now let that one be like the cities which Adonai overturned with no relenting, and let him hear a cry in the morning and a shout of alarm at noon, since he did not kill me in the womb, so my mother might have been my grave, her womb filled forever. Why did I ever come forth out of the womb to see trouble and sorrow, and my days end in shame? Jeremiah chapter 21, warning to King Zedekiah and Judah. The word which came to Jeremiah from Adonai, when King Zedekiah sent to him, Pashur, son of Malchiah, and Zephaniah, son of Maaseiah, the Gohan, saying, Please inquire of Adonai for us, since Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, is making war against us. Perhaps Adonai would deal with us according to all his wondrous miracles, so that he would withdraw from us. Then said Jeremiah to them, Thus will you say to Zedekiah, Thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, will soon turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, which you use to fight against the king of Babylon and against the Chaldeans, who are besieging you outside the walls. I will assemble them in the center of the city. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, even with anger, fury, and great wrath. I will also strike down the inhabitants of the city, both man and beast. They will die of a great pestilence. Then afterwards, declares Adonai, I will deliver King Zedekiah of Judah and his servant, as well as the people, those surviving in this city from the pestilence, the sword, and the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, into the hand of their foes, yes, into the hand of those who seek their life, so he will smite them with the edge of the sword. He will not spare them, nor have pity or compassion. Now to this people you will say, Thus says Adonai, Look, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He who remains in this city will die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence, but whoever goes out and surrenders to the Chaldeans who are besieging you, he will live, and he will have his life as a prize. For I have set my face against this city for evil, not for good. It is a declaration of Adonai. It will be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he will burn it with fire. Also to the house of the king of Judah, hear the word of Adonai. O house of David, thus says Adonai, render justice by morning, and rescue the one who is robbed out of the hand of the oppressor. Otherwise my fury will go forth like fire, and burn so none can extinguish it, because of their evil deeds. Here I am against you, situated in the valley, a rocky plateau. It is a declaration of Adonai. You are saying, Who would come down against us? Who would enter into our lairs? I will punish you according to the fruit of your deeds. It is a declaration of Adonai. Also I will set fire to her forest, and it will consume all around her. Jeremiah 22, warning to David's heirs. Thus said Adonai, Go down to the palace of the king of Judah and speak this word. Hear the word of Adonai, O king of Judah, who sits on the throne of David, you, your servants, and your people who enter by these gates. Thus says Adonai, Execute justice and righteousness, rescue the one who is robbed out of the hand of the oppressor. Do not mistreat or do violence to the stranger, the fatherless, or the widow. Do not shed innocent blood in this place, for if you really carry out this word, then through the gates of this place will enter the king sitting on the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, himself, his servants, and his people. But if you will not obey these words, I swear by myself, declares Adonai, that this palace will become a ruin. For thus says Adonai concerning the house of the king of Judah, You are Gilead to me, the summit of Lebanon. Yet I will surely make you into a wilderness, uninhabited cities. I will consecrate destroyers against you, each with his own weapons. They will cut down your choice cedars and cast them into the fire. Many nations will pass by this city, and they will say each to his neighbor, Why has Adonai done such thing to this great city? Then they will answer, Because they abandoned the covenant of Adonai their God, and worshipped other gods and served them. Weep not for the dead or bemoan him. Weep bitterly for him who departs, for he will never return or see his native country again. For thus says Adonai to Shallum, son of King Josiah of Judah, who became king in the place of his father Josiah. He who went forth from this place will never return here. Instead, in the place where they led him captive, there he will die. He will see this land no more. Woe to him who builds his house by unrighteousness, and his roof chambers by injustice, that makes his neighbors work without pay, who never giving him wages, who says, I will build myself a big house with spacious rooms, and cut my windows for it, and panel it with cedar, and paint it with vermilion. Did you become king just to be striving with cedar? Did your father not eat or drink and do justice and righteousness? Then it went well with him. He pled the case of the poor and weak, so it went well. Is it not this knowledge of me? It is a declaration of Adonai, but your eyes and your heart are only on your unjust gain, and on the shedding of innocent blood, and committing extortion and fraud. Therefore, thus says Adonai about Jehoiakim, son of the king Josiah of Judah, they will not lament for him, Oi my brother, or Oi sister. They will not lament for him, Oi master, or Oi his majesty. With a donkey's burial will he be buried, dragged off and thrown outside the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry out, and lift your voice to Bashan, and cry from Abiram, for all your lovers are broken. I spoke to you in your prosperity, but you said I won't listen. This has been your way since your youth, for you never listened to my voice. The wind will shepherd away all of your shepherds, and your lovers will go into exile. Surely then you will be ashamed and humbled by all your wickedness. O inhabitant of Lebanon, nestled in the cedars, how you will groan when pangs come on you, pain like the woman in travail. As I live, declares Adonai, even if Coniah, son of King Jehoiakim of Judah, were a signet ring on my right hand, yet I would pull you off and give you over to the hand of those seeking your life. Yes, into the hand of those whom you dread, even into the hand of King Nebuchadrezzar of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. So I'll cast you out with your mother who you bore into another country where you were not born, and there you will die. But as for the land where they long to return, they will never return there. Is this man Coniah despised, shattered pot, a jar with no delight in it? And why are he and his seed cast out into the land they do not know? O land, hear the word of Adonai. Thus says Adonai, write this man's childless, a man who will not prosper in his days, for no man of his seed will prosper, sitting on the throne of David and ruling again in Judah. Jeremiah chapter 23, gathering his flock. Woe to the shepherds who are destroying and the scattering the sheep of my pasture. It is a declaration of Adonai. Therefore, thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, but the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not taken care of them. I will soon visit on you the evil of your deeds. It is a declaration of Adonai. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them back to their idols, and they will be fruitful and multiply. I will raise up shepherds over them who will feed them. They will no longer be afraid or dismayed, nor will any be missing. It is a declaration of Adonai. The righteous branch. Behold, days are coming, it is a declaration of Adonai, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he will reign as king wisely, and execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Judah will be saved, and Israel will dwell in safety. And this is his name, by which he will be called Adonai, our righteousness. Therefore, behold, days are coming, says Adonai, when they will no longer say, as Adonai lives, who brought up children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Rather, as Adonai lives, who brought up and led the offspring of the house of Israel out of the north country and from the lands where he had banished them, so they will dwell in their own soil. Avoid ungodly prophets. As for the prophets, my heart within me is broken. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, like a man overcome by wine because of Adonai, because of his holy words. For the land is full of adulterers, the land mourns because of a curse. Pastures of this wilderness are dry, their running is evil, and their might is not right. For both prophet and Kohen are ungodly, even in my house I found their evil. It is a declaration of Adonai. Therefore their way will be for them like slippery places in the gloom. They will be driven away and fall there, for I will bring calamity on them, even the year of their visitation. It is a declaration of Adonai. Moreover, I have seen unseemliness in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied by Baal and led my people astray. But in the prophets of Jerusalem I have seen a horrible thing, committing adultery and walking in lies. They strengthen the hands of evildoers. No one turns back from his evil. They are all like Sodom to me, and her inhabitants like Gomorrah. Therefore thus says Adonai Zavat concerning the prophets, I myself will feed them wormwood, and make them drink poisoned water. For from the prophets of Jerusalem pollution has spread into all the land. Thus says Adonai Zavat, do not listen to the words of the prophets who are prophesying to you. They are leading you into illusion, speaking a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Adonai. They keep saying to those who despise me, Adonai has said, you will have shalom to everyone who walks in the stubbornness of his own heart. They say, no evil will come on you. For who has stood in the counsel of Adonai, that he should see and hear his word? Who has heard to his word and obeyed? Look, a storm of Adonai goes out in fury. Yes, a whirling tempest will swirl down on the head of the wicked. The anger of Adonai will not turn until he has executed and fulfilled the purposes of his heart. In the last days you will discern it clearly. I did not send those prophets, yet they ran. I did not speak to them, yet they prophesied. If they have stood in my counsel, then they would have announced my words to my people, and turned them from their evil way, and from the evil of their deeds. Am I only God when near? It is a declaration of Adonai, and not God when far off. Can anyone hide himself in places so secret that I will not see him? Do I not fill heaven and earth? It is a declaration of Adonai. I have heard what the prophets say, who prophesy lies in my name, saying, I had a dream, I had a dream. How long will this continue? Is there anything in the heart of such prophets prophesying lies? These prophets have deception in their hearts. Through their dreams that they each tell to his companion, that intend to make my people forget my name, just as their fathers forgot my name because of Baal. The prophet who has a dream may recount a dream, but let the one who has my word speak the word in truth. For what is straw compared with wheat? It is a declaration of Adonai. Is not my word like fire, says Adonai, or like a hammer that shatters rock? Therefore, here I am against the prophets, it is a declaration of Adonai, who steal my words from each other. Indeed, I am against the prophets, declares Adonai, who use their tongues to utter a prophecy. It is a declaration. Behold, I am against those who prophesy lying dreams, declares Adonai, and tell them, and so lead my people astray with their lies and with their reckless boasts. Yet I never sent them or commanded them, nor do they benefit this people at all. It is a declaration of Adonai. Now when this people or prophet or Kohen is asking you, what is the burden of Adonai? Then you are to say to them, what burden? I will cast you off. It is a declaration of Adonai. As for the prophet or Kohen or people who keep saying, the burden of Adonai, I will punish that man and his household. Thus each of you may say to his companion, each one to his brother, what has Adonai answered? Or what has Adonai spoken? But you should no longer remember the burden of Adonai, for to each one his own word is becoming the burden. So you have perverted the words of the living God, of Adonai Zavat our God. So you are to say, such a prophet, what has Adonai answered you, and what has Adonai spoken? But if you say the burdens of Adonai, then surely Adonai says, because you keep saying these words, the burden of Adonai, therefore I will surely... the burden of Adonai, when I sent this word to you, you were not to say the burden of Adonai. Therefore I will surely forget you, and I will cast you off, along with the city that I gave to you and to your fathers, away from my presence. And I will bring everlasting disgrace on you, and everlasting shame that will not be forgotten.